Hello everyone and welcome back to Play for Fun. Today in this new episode of Eldoria, we're diving deeper into the city to see what's really going on. We'll explore different areas, revisit the zones built in the last episode, and check how things are progressing overall. Well, things aren't quite going the way they should. And they're not exactly under my control either. What I feared is finally happening, and honestly, it was inevitable. The hardware limitations are now holding back the simulation and my goal of reaching 1 million. On the surface, everything might look fine. The simulation holds its form and the city stands strong. But behind the scenes, things are starting to happen that seriously threaten the continuation of this series. Still, I'm not someone who gives up that easily. So I've found a way to keep things going for now. But before we take a tour of the city, let me show you exactly what challenges I've been talking about. Let's ignore those city problem notifications for a bit. They're fixable. What's likely not fixable right now is this: the city's population just won't grow. That's the real issue. If you remember, at the end of episode 4, just before I started building the new part of the city around the lake, we had reached 500,000. Since then, even though I've added more services and expanded residential zones, the population has stayed below 550,000. Several times now, whenever the population starts to grow, it suddenly drops by 10,000 to 50,000 without any clear reason. It's obvious something's not working as it should. I think I've hit a hardware bottleneck, where the simulation deliberately holds back growth to stay stable and usable. Interestingly, aside from this issue, most things are working just fine, at least for now. But one thing that really breaks the immersion is the empty streets. In the newly developed areas, traffic density is extremely low, and it's clearly due to the lack of new citizens entering the city. When checking the building population in the newly developed areas, only a very small number of units are occupied. Most are completely empty. In contrast, the older districts are fully populated across the board. Right, let's set that population problem aside for now. Remember those notifications about citizen issues I mentioned earlier? So before diving back into city growth, let's tackle those and see what kind of impact we can make. Some notifications are about heavy traffic, specifically around these two cargo train hubs. For now, they're the only way to deliver raw materials for various city services, so it's natural that congestion builds up around them. The next issue is related to the limited supply or high final cost of raw materials needed for shops and essential city services. This is directly caused by the lack of transportation options available to deliver those resources. So to resolve these issues, we need to expand the city's transport options, especially cargo transportation. Adding an airport or a cargo harbor could completely fix the problem, and also help reduce traffic congestion in those key areas. There's still plenty of undeveloped space available, like this large area down here, which has great potential. I originally planned to build the airport right in the center of this empty zone, but for now, I've changed my mind. I think it's better to shape this section with a mix of residential zones, smaller homes, and office areas, with an industrial zone placed further down. As for the airport, it can go across the river, right here. That spot is still untouched, and has plenty of room to work with. By expanding and completing the office zone throughout this section, I've got an excellent area here that's suitable for both an airport and a waterfront cargo hub. There's still a lot of work to be done, but the potential is fantastic, and it's shaping up to be something great. By creating a dedicated access point from the main highway to this area, the traffic load can be completely separated from the rest of the city. It's a much smarter plan overall. Alright, after wrapping things up, it's time to get back to work and start laying out the initial plan for this part of the city. Let's see how it turns out. Alright guys, this was the fast-paced build of this new part of the city. I originally planned to show only the initial layout in the time-lapse, but decided to reveal the full process instead. Now it's time to break it all down step by step and walk through each section. First of all, this large central section with its distinctive layout was where I originally planned to place the airport. Its size made it feasible, but after weighing the options, I decided to build the airport later on the other side of the city. My next idea was a big park and green space, but the base game's options for large parks are limited and I've already built plenty of them throughout the city. At that point I thought an office district would make better use of this area, a cluster of office buildings that meets the city's needs and adds a unique design touch. I'm really happy with how it turned out. Since I've got a large amount of space available on the other side of the river, and I plan to expand the city in that direction, I'll have plenty of new room to work with. If future updates add options for custom parks, amusement parks, or even zoos, like we had in Cities Skylines 1, I can easily redesign this section when the time comes. Just above this area, we reach the section that continues to the edge of the city with the same design style. Here, I've placed several large and unique buildings, including a central post-sorting facility with detailed landscaping around it, which gives a major upgrade to the city's postal system. On either side of it, there are healthcare buildings that support the district's needs. As you can see, there's still plenty of open, buildable space in this section, currently filled with greenery and trees. It gives me peace of mind knowing that if I ever want to add something here in the future, there's more than enough room. No need to demolish or move anything around. Right next to these buildings, I dedicated this section to the city's education system and schools. It fully meets the area's needs now, no more gaps to worry about. I also made sure to add a good mix of sports fields, parks, and a few shops and stores nearby, so the whole zone feels cohesive both in appearance and function. Continuing from there, I added a series of crematoriums along this section. Then, further on the other side of the central area, I placed a few more crematoriums along with several cemeteries to help manage the city's death care needs and finally clear out those persistent notifications. The central space itself is aligned with the design of the city's main park. And I tried to continue that same visual style all the way down to the large square we'll get to shortly. Finally, this section has been designated for the city's main prison. Right next to it, I placed a large hospital and a major police station, which should cover this entire district's needs just fine. Now let's talk about the residential area. Right below the zones I mentioned earlier, I dedicated this large space to a low-density housing zone, filled with beautiful USASW-style homes. For now, I think this was the best possible spot to place it. The demand for low-density housing was quite high, and I also planned to allocate a huge portion of the area to office buildings and, further down, to industrial zones. So naturally, I needed to provide new residential areas to support their workforce. Even though in the previous episode 1 created a massive residential zone that's still nearly empty, I'm setting that aside for now so I can keep the momentum going on Eldoria. All in all, I feel like this was the best outcome for this space. It fits perfectly for what the city needs right now. Just below the residential area, I chose to dedicate the lower strip to commercial and office buildings, since it's positioned quite close to the industrial zone further down. I also placed a dense multi-layered tree barrier between them, and if you look closely, you'll see that no pollution is leaking upward, so the residential zone is completely protected and remains safe. At the very bottom of the area, I've placed a series of industrial buildings along with those compact Japanese-style recycling centers. Despite their small size, they've proven to be incredibly efficient. On the other side, there's a much larger section fully dedicated to industrial zoning. Interestingly, demand for industrial zones was quite low before this area was completed, but once everything was built, demand suddenly surged, which is a bit surprising. At the very end of this new section, I created an area that feels like a park or garden space, paired with buildings that complement its vibe and really enhance the city's overall atmosphere. Landmarks like the National Gallery of Art, the modern City Hall, and the Citizens Service Center all blended beautifully with the vision I had for this part. After all the dense development below, this zone brings a refreshing visual break. Just beneath it, I placed a large National Diet building along with the botanical garden, which also matched the aesthetic nicely. I'm genuinely happy with how this part turned out. Interestingly, I originally planned to extend the industrial or office zones up to this point, but later decided it'd be much better to create something calmer and more relaxing here. Almost like a national park for Eldoria's citizens. It feels like the right call. This next zone is still completely unfinished, but for now I've placed the Technical University alongside the central bank in this area. It's just a rough layout at the moment, and once I get to working on this section in detail, there's a good chance I'll move these buildings around or even change the intended use of the whole zone. For now, I simply chose to position them here temporarily. So that wraps up the work I've done in these new areas. Of course, the function of each zone may change depending on future needs, but overall, I'm really happy with the design. Even if I decide to repurpose sections later, I'll definitely keep this layout. I've also added a variety of services throughout this part of the city. The goal was to make this district self-sufficient, offering full access to everything from education to essential city services. And to make sure residents stay well connected, I've extended the public transport network into this area as well. One dedicated metro line runs throughout this entire district, connecting it directly to the older industrial zones and linking seamlessly with other metro lines along the way. It loops back into the newly developed parts of the city, ensuring smooth coverage and easy access to public transit. Later on, when I add the airport and see transport hubs like the harbor and cargo terminals in this area, I'm planning to introduce 1 or 2 more metro lines. The goal is to build a fully integrated transit network that covers the entire city efficiently. I've also covered the entire district with 2 bus lines, each with stops conveniently located near the metro stations. For now, this setup works perfectly and provides full accessibility across the area. Well, not everything goes smoothly. As you've probably noticed, there's a bit of a traffic issue in this area. I'm planning to fix it by tweaking road directions and adjusting or adding some connector streets to improve flow. Let's jump in and see how things turn out. Nice. I finally managed to clear out that ridiculous traffic buildup in this part of the city. With the simulation slowing down, I had to wait a few hours, but it paid off. Interestingly, when you compare it with the older industrial zone, there's way less traffic pressure over there. I'm still not sure why the new area had such high congestion. It's a bit of a mystery. But for now, the issue's solved, and we can finally keep things moving. And one more thing you might have noticed, those crime scene notifications suddenly started popping up. The overall security in the city is actually pretty solid, so it's unclear why this issue appeared out of nowhere. For now, I've placed a police headquarters here to see if it helps stabilize things. If that's not enough, I might consider building another prison on this side of the city, but we'll see how it plays out. Alright guys, it's time to wrap up this episode and leave the airport construction for the next one. I actually planned to build the airport a while ago, but for various reasons, it kept getting postponed from episode to episode. One of the main reasons is that I was hoping the game would introduce customizable airport features, just like we had in CS1, or at least add a few new pre-made airport models. Using the same two airport styles over and over has honestly gotten a bit stale, especially the international one. I'm not really in the mood to use it again. I'll most likely go with a setup using two smaller airports placed side by side, but I'll see what comes up once I start building. So a lot of the issues I mentioned at the start of the episode, like missing transport connections, stem from not having an airport or a proper sea transport system yet. Those problems will stick around until the next episode when I tackle them properly. I'm starting work on it right now and I'll try to get it done soon. Thanks so much for watching this far, and thank you for all the support, likes, and comments. It truly means a lot to me. So, until the next episode. As always, happy building.